confusion or delusion is unreal, and the unreal does not exist. The spiritual practitioner is not concerned with what does not exist. Do notions exist? Do ideas exist? This is reality for most people. Most people think that they're down-to-earth, practical, solid people. This is what they think. This is their notion. The spiritual practitioner is not involved with notions. That which is not found on investigation does not exist. So when you look into something and you can't find it, why say that it exists? So we've got the notion of a body, which I explored some time back. And the more you look into the notion of a body, the more you realise that that's what it is. It's only a notion. It's only an idea that we've got. It doesn't have a concrete or absolute existence. And yet, we don't want to let go of the notion that it does have, do we? But if you investigate into it, if you really look into it, you'll see that there isn't really anything that we can call the body. There isn't anything real. So, we should conclude that it does not exist. What is realized on investigation is one true nature which alone exists, and there is no diversity in it. And what is realized on investigation is what is doing the investigating, what is doing the looking. This is the reality. If anything exists, it's this reality that exists. When one moves away from one's real nature, there is great sorrow. When one rests in the self, there is great peace and self-control. And that self-control means not being agitated by notions. And this is the dynamic of spiritual practice. It's possible. The usual idea is that we realize our own nature and that's it. We're enlightened. End of story. That's the beginning. It's the beginning of spiritual practice. Enlightenment is the beginning of spiritual practice. Enlightenment is realization for your own consciousness, but then it's easy to move away from that realization. In fact, it's necessary to move away from that realization. When you're engaging in conversation or in talk, when you're doing anything, then you need to turn the attention away from itself. But this only happens for a small fraction of the time. The enlightenment means being able to bring the attention back. And this is what's tricky. The attention can get lost, can lose its way, even if it's realized itself at some point. It can still forget itself. And the worst scenario is that it might just be a memory of the attention returning to itself. And you get some gurus that base their whole teaching on a memory of enlightenment rather than enlightenment itself. But anyway, we have the option here of getting involved in our notions or resting in realization of that in which the notions arise. The elements act only with the help of their own counterparts. And what these elements are, they're usually earth, water, etc. But here, in parentheses, the translator has put the senses, mind, etc. for the elements. It's not clear what the etc. would be, and that the counterparts are light, space, etc. Well, this isn't very helpful. The elements are the notions which arise, and the counterparts are the emotional interaction with these elements, with these objects, what they mean to us as an individual ego. This is what keeps it all going. It's like the sculpture. It's like the sculptor who falls in love with his own sculpture. The self, or the infinite consciousness, does not do anything, and it is not involved in activities. This is when you're established in realization of the self. You realize that this is the only reality. They who consider the world real do not have self-knowledge, and to them we are unreal, or completely bonkers even. In me there is pure awareness of the one cosmic consciousness, and even the activities of the world appear non-different from it, just as movement is non-different from the wind. So you know that the world is completely unreal, but you engage fully with it. Engage fully. We do not reject the world. We reject notions of the reality of the world. But otherwise we engage. We engage with the fantasy. Or if you're a yogi and you have the option, you can maybe just sit in higher states of consciousness, although that's just the same as engaging with the world, really. In their mind, my body seems to be real, but to my illumined intelligence, their physical existence is unreal, as it is to a sleeping person. My relationship with them is also Brahman, which exists in Brahman. So the world, we must remember, is a manifestation of the Absolute, or an apparent manifestation of the Absolute. So we never reject it, we appreciate it in its fullness. Whatever be their vision, let it be so. That is all right for me. In other words, if one is perceived as being completely bonkers or out there, then okay, what can you do about it? You just have to accept that. Since all this is pervaded by Brahman, I do not exist as I. I am not my ego. I am not my personality. Even these words apparently arise for your sake. In the heart of such a knower of truth, there is neither desire for pleasure, nor desire for liberation. Neither liberation nor wealth, etc., is of any use to him who is established in the realization that I am not, nor is the world. That is not the reality. This is not the reality. The reality is here, in awareness. The awareness which is listening, watching this video right now. That's the underlying awareness. There is no me here and you there. Your awareness, the awareness that is speaking here, is the same as the awareness watching and thinking about this video.